Hello Pioneers! It's been a long time coming, but it's finally here. Satisfactory Factories has hit beta 0.5, and this is the biggest update the planner has ever received. Today I'm going to cover building groups, overclocking and summer sloops have finally been added to the planner, allowing you fine-tune control over your machines in the planner. Power planning has been completely redone, introducing a proper summary table for all your power statistics, the introduction of geothermal and alien power augmenters, complete with circuit boosting, and alien power matrix support. Variable power production and consumption is also properly visualized in the plan as well. A completely redone parts and recipes page with vastly more detail than before, with the ability to inject parts directly into your plans, search up alternate recipes, and also see what parts are being used in your plan. A very large UI refresh, including the resizable sidebar and the overhauled factory summaries and the statistics for plans. Performance has been massively improved, with in effect removing the multiple second freezes on large plans, enabling you to create even bigger plans. A whole bunch of fixes and quality of life improvements have been made, including new ways to create new factories or update existing ones based on shortages. There is a lot to get through, so let's dive straight in. The video has a series of chapters, feel free to skip to any that you might find interesting. Before I get into the update details, I would like to explain why the project was abandoned for about 1.5 years. Simply put, real life happened. I got a job, I started a new video game project called Novalast, feel free to check it out on Steam, and lots of other things. I do hope I redeem myself for this update, and the planner has massively improved, and as always, if you feel like there's something missing, or if it needs improvement, mention it on Discord or GitHub. Without further ado, let's go to the update details. So the headline feature of this update is building groups. Every product and every power generator can now be split into groups of buildings. The planner fully matches how your factory is actually laid out in the world. So for example, in front of us we have 24 oil refineries. Maybe you ran out of space to add more, or you only have a small amount of space. So here you can create a new building group, overclock the second group, and produce more with the less amount of space you've got. The really cool thing is if you enable sync, and if you update these, it now starts updating the item's quantity. So as you build more stuff in the world and update these building groups, it will automatically update the quantity, which means that it can be distributed to other factories with the extra surplus. Obviously, if you've added more, you'll have more surplus, so you need to balance this either through syncing or sending it elsewhere or exporting it elsewhere. So one big part of this update is adding summer sloops to buildings. So in this example here, we've got an oil refinery. Each summer sloop for oil refineries increases it by 50%. So as you can see here, we've got 320. If we add one, it increases by 50%. If we add another, it increases it by double. So this fully supports sloops. It also updates the power. So as you look at the power here, we've got 600 megawatts. As we increase the sloops, it increases the power requirements. Obviously, it does that as well across the whole factory. It's fully updating. And as you'll see at the top here, and also here as well for reference, you've got your power shards that are required to do your overclocking. So if we increase this by 1, it increases all the power shards because you need a third one in order to do that. And obviously the amount of sloops. In addition to alien power, when you actually create alien power augmenters, it actually takes 10 sloops to build them. It also increases the summer sloops used there as well. All of this is totted up and summarized in the new statistics. I'm going to go over this in a later section, but as you can see here, all your power shards and all your summer sloops are itemized and they're available to see at a glance. Power in general is now front and center into the planner, so when you have this hidden, you will always have a snapshot of your power distribution here in the top left. That's always present. But in every single factory, you'll also see the power consumption, and in cases where we're generating power, the power generation. We've also now supported variable power, so in this case geothermal generators have been added. You generate different power based on the purities of the node it's sat on. So this, for example, allows you to select different purities. It gives you the full range of power it generates. And what we do for mathematical purposes is we use the average, as the middle of the power range. So on impure, it takes 200 megawatts to 600 megawatts. You'll see this in game by it just going up and up and up and then down, down, down. But what we do is we take the average of 400. and also the different purities generate different amounts. What this generates is the average, so this is all these three totted up here. For alien power, it's a bit different. So the alien power augmenter itself has 500 static power, so it always just generates that regardless of what it does, and that's just added as it would with any other generator. But here as well, you can inject matrices, or the alien power matrices, and if you do so and supply it with that, which comes much later in the game, it'll also apply the boost, the circuit boost, which is represented here. So you see here, this one has matrices injected, and this one doesn't. And what that results in, if we go back to the summary and open that up, is we can see at a glance our circuit boost, and we can see here just from those three alien power generators, because we've got in this plan a ton of power in nuclear, it actually gives us quite a lot more power from the generation. It almost gives us about roughly, I think, 70% extra. I've validated all these numbers in game, they are accurate, so it might seem like a lot, but it's actually, this is why alien power generators are really good. It's also why they cost 10 sloops, is because they are really, really good with alien power matrices. Also in this update, we've added the ability to add arbitrary power targets. The reason for this is that we don't know every consumer of power in the game, and it's very impractical to ask you to add every single consumer of power in the game. You might not even know yourself. So the best thing to do is just to look at the power consumption graphs in the game, and you obviously understand your own power targets. So I've added the ability to just add those as a target, and what this does is it compares the current production and the net difference of the plan and compare it to your arbitrary power target. So if we add a very large power target, you can see that things are going red. So we've gone red there, we've gone red there. You'll notice as well that it says difference versus the target. Now if we clear this, it basically goes purely off the consumption in the plan. So obviously this won't be exactly accurate in real life, but based on your machines in the plan, that's what it will generate. So in this case, we've got quite a lot in plutonium and uranium in this plan, so it's a positive value. But again, if you have a large consumer for some reason, or just want it high for whatever reason, if that's just your target for the end game, then you can totally do that, and the plan will adapt to that. So the parts and recipes view has been dramatically updated. So before, all you saw was just a list of recipes, which didn't make a ton of sense. Now what we've got per product is a list of the recipes that create the product, but also any alternative recipes and where the product is being used. You could probably find all this information on the wiki as well, but the really nice thing here is that you can actually add it to a planner, and this lists all your factories. So if you wanted to add it to like this one, for example, you can do so. And what this will do is it will inject it straight into the planner, into that factory. And down, there you go, supercomputers, right there. So that is a really nice and quick way of adding new things in. So you can obviously do that from the planner as well, but you can also have a lot more context. We can search iron plate here, for example, and see, like, you know, where it's used. You can add an alternative recipe directly here as well. It's just a lot more informational, a lot more useful. So the UI has received extra polish, and for the most observant of you, the header colors also changed just now as well. So the sidebar is massively changed. We can now shrink it and expand it at will. We can hide it completely and just hover over to the side. And also, while in this sort of hidden mode as well, we can also change it here too. And if I open the site in portrait mode, for the crazy people such as myself that has a portrait monitor, it's also fully supported in here too, and you have a certain width allowance up to 75%. You can't go any further than that, but you're fully able to resize this mostly as you wish now. There's also been significant upgrades for the statistics and factories summary. They're no longer what I consider work in progress anymore. So let's start off with statistics. As I've briefly touched, you've still got your power consumption straight up at top. However, we've slightly changed how these all work. So these are all now collapsible. There's obviously a new section for the power shards. The product surplus and deficits are going to be changed further next update. I'm not overly happy with how this is laid out. Same again for show all products as well. This is also going to be changed, so watch this space for this. But at least all these now are collapsible. The factory summaries, though, is where it's received most love. So here, this is completely changed. Now we see an itemized summary of each factory. There's also a button here to expand it to full view, so you can have a full thing. Imagine if you've got like 30 or so of these, it'll become quite significantly helpful. This shows basically as a summary of all the exports per factory, the amount of product that is shipping to the factory. You can click any of these and it will jump you straight to the factory and stuff like that. You can also expand this expansion view from here, from the sidebar as well. Swapping between tabs is also significantly faster. So I've loaded the mega plan that I have, which is like 31 factories. So that was decently quick. Before though, what it was doing was it's doing an extra calculation step it didn't need to do. So it was doubling up on work. So whenever you've loaded a tab and there's been no changes, it'll just not calculate everything again. It'll just render everything in. This is also going to change as well in update 6, where when you click on a particular factory, it's just going to render this factory and maybe the one below it, and it'll start it's called lazy loading the factories in, rather than what we've currently got, which is one massive mega plan, which we have to do this sort of janky thing where we have to hide factories. I want to get rid of this completely and just have it so that you just click on each one of these and there's no delay, it just renders that little bit of it, and you won't get this warning anymore either. On the topic of hidden factories, what I would like to highlight though is the new and improved, well, it's not brand new, but improved hidden factory view. So when you collapse a factory, the summaries you get. This has been dramatically adjusted and more readable now. So everything's aligned properly. It was sort of like indenting and doing weird things. Also, I've decided to sort of wrap factories in chip within a chip, so you can sort of see the products belonging to this factory. It's just a lot more cleaner and laid out, and also like this sort of nice border radiuses and stuff like that. So this is hopefully a lot more readable. I am willing to accept further feedback on this because I know it's quite information dense. I've done my best of it, but ultimately I think it will be replaced at some point. But this is an overhaul for now. And also a very small detail, but quite a welcome one hopefully. Whenever you hover over an image, be it a building or a product, if you click it, it'll open up the wiki for that entry. You can sort of see all the recipes and stuff like that. You can also search the recipe on the parts and recipes stuff as well, but I just thought it'd be nice to just link straight to the wiki, which is a quite nice thing. You can do it from any building, pretty much anywhere in the planner that shows an image will link to it, including all these, which is super nice. This was also an addition that was added by Sam, one of our developers at Satisfactory Factories. I took it a bit further by improving the layout and stuff like that, but it also wasn't working on on every icon, on every building. It now works in every single place that we have an image. So yeah, thank you Sam for the contribution. So there's been a major update when it comes to performance in update 5. So I have here open a 31 factory plan. This is a gigantic plan that's got a lot of information in. This is actually my mega plan I use for the game. So before the update, if you would update one of these, you'd receive a lag of about probably 3 to 4 seconds while it goes through everything. What was happening under the hood is that it was updating every single numerical field in the whole plan, which was a bit stupid. So what it does now is that it does calculations to the side, checks what's actually changed, and only updates the actual fields that have been affected. So you can sort of see here that, you know, the power's updating and stuff like that, so it'll update just this field, just that field, just this field. The other ones are actually changed. In my testing, it was doing, in this plan, it was doing around in the region of about 30,000 micro updates, of which 99.99% of them were just no change. So now what it does, it only updates the certain ones that need to actually be updated. The only cost to this is that you have to wait a little bit. So what it does is that it waits for the user to input their number. Once it's settled down, then it'll actually update the plan, which is at the cost of it being slightly less quick it's vastly more efficient. It's far more easier on your browser. It doesn't actually kill your browser with plans this size. I do recommend that, though, that you still don't go absolutely nuts with it, but at least now you're able to have much bigger plans and have far less of a performance impact this time. Another quality of life update we've added is the ability to create a whole new factory from a shortage. So if we've got a shortage here for, say, black powder, we could create a brand new factory with this amount of shortage inside, and it automatically imports into this factory. So we're going to do that now. So we press new. It's created a new black powder factory, and if we go back to the military factory, you'll see here that the new black powder factory has been added at the exact amount it needed. This is a really handy convenience thing if you want to create and spawn a new factory based off of demand. You can also add it to an existing factory. It's a very similar thing. It just adds it as a product to the factory and then automatically wires up the import for you. And that pretty much, folks, covers everything I wanted to cover for the Overclocked update. As always, you can look at the changelog and see the vast amount of detail of changes that I've made to the planner. If you've got any feedback or like to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on Discord. And if you like what you see here today, please consider donating. Otherwise, I wish you have a good day, and remember, the factory must grow.